The most hated airline in the world. Alright, why is it hated though?
It's the largest airline in Europe, flying over 180 million passengers every year. And unlike
what?
Most airlines, Ryanair offers flights for as little as $9.99. But
listen, if you're getting a flight the same amount as an Uber, you cannot expect your flight to be exactly great. Los Angeles to Barcelona for $9.99. Brody, you better expect no service, yell at you. You should just be saying thank you.
For every passenger who loves Ryanair's cheap tickets, there's another one who has sworn never to fly with them again. Ryanair is infamous for charging ridiculous hidden fees, taking passengers to unexpected destinations, and changing their schedule.
See, I'm not gonna lie. If I had like no job or nothing to do, and I was supposed to go to like Greek, and instead I got dropped off in France or Barcelona, I wouldn't be complaining. I would low-key not be complaining because that's just a crazy side quest. That's one of them times you're like, remember that time? If you were with a friend and that happened, remember that time? That was a legendary lore story.
At the very last minute. And if you head to their social media accounts, you'll find that instead of helping out, Ryanair often just trolls their passengers. Quite literally making memes out.
Realistically, just imagine the scenario in your head, alright? Imagine you are literally fuming. Your head is literally a tomato. You are mad. You're mad at somebody and you're mad at them. And they reply to you with this. Oh my god, I'm not gonna lie. This meme alone would make me do some unspeakable things.
Or their complaints. There are countless horror stories about flying Ryanair. But
so why does everybody hate them and they keep flying with them? It's cheap.
Everything Ryanair does is actually genius. Even with such low prices, they have one of the highest profit margins in the entire airline industry.
What do they do though?
Ryanair's journey from a single plane.
I'm not gonna lie. How are their flights $9.99? I'm not gonna lie. My Uber from here to the gym, which is 2 or 3 minutes driving, is $10. And you're telling me I can get a flight for $10? Nah. There's gotta be a scheme, something along the lines. I'm not gonna lie. There's gotta be something.
Europe's largest airline is fascinating. So
what is it though? What is it?
Strap yourself in, because the story of Ryanair is gonna be a wild ride.
Let me explain something
strap yourself
to you.
in?
I set the rules and you follow them blindly.
Pop my fingers, hold on. Chapter 1, takeoff, alright?
Tony Ryan began Ryanair in 1984, starting off with just a single aircraft, flying from Ireland to London.
Was he that old in 1984? If so, is he still with us? Because I'm not gonna lie, he looked like 70 here. He might be 130 now.
However, as they tried to expand and offer more routes, the business started losing more and more money. So Tony asked his personal assistant, Michael O'Leary, to take a look at the business.
Michael, I've heard that name before.
What he found was a mess of unmerciful proportions. Michael's first assessment was that Ryanair should simply shut down, because it
I'm not gonna lie, chat. Imagine somebody coming back to you and tell your business, hey bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you. Nah, that business ain't working out. I'm not gonna lie, yo, just scrap it. Just sell it. Whatever you can get for it, just sell it. Oh, I'd be heartbroken.
Was losing millions every year, but Tony said that wasn't an option. So Michael's next assessment was that Ryanair needed to completely restructure itself and cut down their costs by whatever means necessary. Tony trusted Michael, so he—
oh, you could say it's by like A&P though, by any means necessary. Let's leave it at that.
He asked him to help make Ryanair profitable. They agreed a deal where instead of a salary, Michael would get 25% of any profits Ryanair made over $2 million, and Michael would lead the airline as chief executive. Given that Ryanair was losing millions a year, Tony doubted whether Michael would make any money at all from this deal. However, Michael realized that trying to offer a better service than the more established airlines was not the right option. And so the first thing Michael did was head over to America to check out Southwest Airlines, a company that was charging as little as $10.
Chat, where do y'all usually fly from? I'll be honest. I flew Spirit one time and then I almost saw God. Like actually, the turbulence, my heart started pumping, and I started flying Frontier, and Loki had no issues with Frontier. The same price damn near, but better service and better quality. Yeah, Spirit Airlines, I apologize. The heartbeat you gave me that day felt like I was on 100 energy drinks combined. Never again.
For some of their flights. Michael wanted to study their process and figure out how they were offering fares so cheaply.
Broke.
And he was hugely impressed with what he saw. Michael compared Southwest's operations to a McDonald's. Every process, from checking the plane before a flight, to boarding the passengers, to the in-flight services, was
So, but are they charging the same prices? Because last time I checked, Southwest was charging $500 from here to Vegas. McDonald's, I can go and, hey, let me get a double D's, and pause, and Sprite. No. So how is it
optimized to increase efficiency and decrease operating costs? When he returned from the US, Michael was inspired and vowed he was going to turn Ryanair into an
that's a symbol. I was like, hold on.
Ultra low-cost airline that offered customers rock-bottom prices. However, many questioned, with rock-bottom prices, how was Ryanair ever going to turn a profit? Well, Michael had a plan for that. And the best way—
I'm gonna say this again, because I guess the reviews were bad and stuff. Listen, if you are expecting a $10 flight, don't be expecting a $500 treatment. Brody, they're letting you pay $10 to go where you need. The literal cheapest flight you'll ever have. And you're complaining that you didn't get snacks. Boo-hoo, man. Get snacks when you arrive. Like, what? I'm sorry, bro. If you're paying $10 for a flight, do not expect a service.
To see it in action is for us to take a flight with Ryanair.
Like, I'm sorry, chat. It's true, though.
As with all flights, it starts when a customer buys a ticket. But you can only buy Ryanair tickets online. That way, the process is streamlined.
I thought that was the whole point. You can only buy them online.
And they cut out travel agencies taking a commission. Ryanair's tickets are especially cheap. But that's because customers are really only paying for a random seat on the plane. If you want to choose a seat so you can sit next to who you're traveling with, that's extra. And if you want to take any luggage other than a backpack, that's extra too. And these extra charges,
basically every airline in the world,
often amount to more than the ticket itself.
That's literally every airline, by the way.
Ryanair saves tons of money this way because most governments tax airlines on the airfare, but not the add-ons. Not just that, it means Ryanair are always going to be at the top of price comparison searches, as they're sorted based on ticket price, not including the extra hidden costs. Now, when you're booking your tickets, make sure you don't fill in any of your details incorrectly, as Ryanair can sometimes charge over €100 to make any changes. Articles have pointed out that it is cheaper to legally change your name and passport.
Imagine you're putting your name, and maybe you're like tired, and you put a R. Hold on, I don't know what just happened. And you put a R instead of a B. R instead of an E. And you get charged $100 for that little mistake. I'm not gonna lie. At that point, I might as well just change my legal name to ribeye. By ribeye, I mean like a steak. Okay? And yeah, I'd rather get clowned than pay $100. I'm not gonna lie. That's just me personally, though.
To change names on Ryanair tickets. When you arrive at the airport, Ryanair saves on staff costs too by not having any check-in desks, and they'll charge a hefty fee to anyone that forgets to check in online. After this, the passengers head to the gate, which might be inconveniently far away. Airports charge airlines less
Okay. These are what basically are penny pinchers. Like, honestly, it is what it is. They're penny pinchers. They're saving every penny they can get, and by that, I mean they're making billions. I gotta find a way to do this and start hiring from other countries. I'm not gonna lie. This is a genius idea.
Using certain gates, and Ryanair always takes the cheapest ones. Next, the passengers head onto the plane. But instead of using a skybridge, Ryanair makes them take a bus and walk up the stairs, because again, it's cheaper. Once inside, the passengers—
Yo! Low-key, I'm having more and more respect for these guys, because it's hilarious, bro. Imagine being like, alright, so where's the tunnel we go to? You know, I'm ready, I'm hyped. No, you gotta go to this bus. It'll take you there. What? Bus? What you talking about, bus? And you're like, yeah, there's a bus. Oh, and then you gotta walk up, you gotta walk through. Oh man, I feel bad. I mean, hey, it's still cheap. I guess
passengers will see that there's no first class on Ryanair, because having only one type of seat streamlines the cleanup process after the flight. You'll also notice that the plane is absolutely crammed with passengers. Ryanair uses mostly Boeing 737s, which typically seat around 170 passengers, but Ryanair stuff around 200 in the same space, the max that regulations allow. This means you won't have much legroom, and to make things worse, the seats can't be reclined. That's because these are the cheapest seats for Ryanair to buy and maintain.
I'll be honest, listen. I always ask. I gotta recline my seat because my back feels like it's literally fighting against itself. I always ask though, can I recline my seat? They've always told me sure. Except one time. This lady said, no, please do not recline your seat. Mind you, it wasn't even affecting her. It was my personal space. So you know what I did? I had to recline my seat. And then she had the audacity to ask me if I can switch seats with her so she can sit with her husband. Guess what I said? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you allowed me to recline my seat, absolutely. You could have had my seat. But you chose to say no. So I say no. Thank you. You know, short story. My bad. Fun fact, sorry.
It also means some of their window seats don't have a window at all.
What?
In the case of seat 11A,
no, that's insane.
This is what you're getting. Next up, the flight attendants give a safety brief. But instead of your typical safety brochure, the information is printed on the back of the seat's headrest. This way, there's no need for pockets on the back of the seats, which makes cleaning up way faster. And usually, it's the flight attendants who do the cleaning themselves.
Chat, y'all be listening to music on your flight? I swear to God. I think when I got really nervous, I downloaded my entire playlist and just started blasting music.
Which dramatically reduces Ryanair's staff bill.
Our people are our most important asset. No, they're our biggest expense.
Then the pilot introduces himself over the speakers. But they're probably not a Ryanair employee. Instead of hiring pilots the traditional way, Ryanair makes them start their own companies in Ireland and then hires them as contractors. This way, they can avoid paying for health insurance or severance.
Oh my God, no, never mind. I was looking starting to respect these guys, but no, I can't, bro. You gotta understand, man. These guys are actually genius, evil genius is what I would call them. They are doing everything they can to make sure they get the most amount of money while you get the least amount of money. You gotta respect it, but at the same time, oh my.
Once the plane takes off, passengers will notice that there's no in-flight internet or screens to watch movies on. That's an unnecessary cost. And if you want any food mid-flight, or even just a glass of water, you're gonna have to pay. Nothing on the plane is free. So Ryanair turns what is an expense for other airlines into another revenue stream. You won't be waiting long though. The average Ryanair flight is just over 2 hours. This is optimal for fuel efficiency.
I thought they'd give you just a can of soda, right? And then when you're done with it, you're like, all right, I'm ready to throw it out. No. You know what they do? It's one small can of soda, and they pour 3 people from that cup, and you get like this. Like the cup is this big, right? You get this much. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I swear to God, they put some ice in it, make it look sweet. You take one sip, it's done. Mind you, I paid $5 for that, and then I seen it with my own eyes, and I'm like, hold on, because like, oh yeah, all 3 people paid. You paid 5, she paid 5, he paid 5. The whole row paid, right? That's the reason. They're like, oh, we'll get a soda. The girl's like, I'll get a soda too. I said, I'll get a Sprite. Tell me why I bought $5 for one sip. Are you serious? Never again, Spirit. Never again, Spirit!
And it also means a single plane can make upwards of 6 trips every day, which drives up Ryanair's revenue. But when the passengers land, they might find they're further away from their destination than they hoped. Ryanair usually flies to secondary airports outside big cities, as they charge much lower landing and takeoff fees. For example, the Ryanair ticket may say London, but instead of flying to one of the main airports like Heathrow, Ryanair may go to Luton, which is not even in London, or
Okay, no, I'll say it. These guys are assholes. I'll say these guys are assholes. I gotta say it. Cause why in the world, just so you can save money, you're making somebody probably pay $200 for Uber. Chat, this might look short to you, but this is probably 3 hours away. Maybe 2 hours away.
In Barcelona, Ryanair uses an airport that's around 50 miles away from the city and requires an hour-and-a-half bus ride.
Oh my God.
It's less convenient for customers, but Ryanair gets much bigger discounts from the airports. And many of these smaller airports become dependent on Ryanair for business, and so they give them incredible prices. Or another way Ryanair gets discounts from airports is they'll just fly at the least popular times. Finally, once the passengers have left, Ryanair begins unloading the plane, cleaning it, refueling it, and rotating the crew. This takes most airlines ages, but Ryanair has streamlined all these systems, so their planes are typically on the ground for just 30 minutes between flights. And so that's a typical Ryanair flight. And it's...
Listen, I'm sure if you want to save money, it's an amazing idea. And there has to be one company that does it in the world. There always has to be a company that does it, that does it the cheapest they can, right? But I would rather get to where I want to go. And actually, if I'm going on vacation, I'm going to be honest. There's no point in penny saving, because if you're going on vacation, you're going to enjoy yourself. You got to expect to spend money. I'm not going to lie. The world is run by money. It's unfortunate. But if you want to go somewhere unique, somewhere fun, say you're going to Costa Rica. Say you're going to Greek, Barcelona, Spain, France. You got to expect to spend money on a flight, food, and travel, and accommodations. I got to keep it a buck, bro. So I don't believe in penny saving when you're going on vacation. I don't believe that.
Clear, their operations are incredibly efficient to cut costs in every way possible. However, this sometimes means doing things that may seem counterintuitive. For example, you may think another way for Ryanair to lower their costs would be to buy older planes for lower prices, but in reality, they do the exact opposite. Ryanair always buys the newest planes available, because long term, they waste the least amount of fuel, which is one of the largest expenses for an airline. In fact, Ryanair is notorious for making massive orders of only Boeing 737s. By buying a single model in bulk, they can negotiate a lower average price per plane, and then streamline their whole operation further. Because by only using one kind of plane, it means they only have to buy one kind of seat and one kind of fuel. They only have to train one kind of crew.
Oh my god, that's actually smart. That's actually smart.
On one kind of process. These ultra-efficient strategies are why Ryanair can charge less than €30 for their average flight, and still clear an outrageous profit margin of around 35% sometimes, whilst most European airlines are lucky to hit 6%, and the global average is barely 2.7%.
That's actually
Everybody looks at Ryanair and they're all looking at it. There's one secret. There's, they bought planes cheaply, or they just treat people badly, or they do. Every single line of our operation is smarter, lower cost, or more efficient than almost every other line.
Some other airlines have now copied some of these strategies after seeing how well they worked, but very few airlines take things as far as Ryanair. However, whilst these ruthless cost-cutting strategies might be brilliant in a business sense, they have made Ryanair one of the most hated airlines in the world.
Listen. It's like that one quote. You can hate me, but you still gonna watch me, right? They're gonna hate them, but they're still gonna fly with them. And I'm gonna explain why though, right? It's an evil way of thinking, but it's a genius way. For the CEO, he thinks he's a genius. The people that fly on his planes think he's evil, and he's just greedy. In his head, he has a company that relies on him, so he has to make smarter choices than everybody else. And the passenger's head, I'm the center of the universe. I have to be treated amazingly. Which obviously everybody should be treated like fairly and equally, right? But here's my point. They both have a valid point. The CEO has a valid point, and so does a customer. But sometimes you gotta realize, if you're flying for $10, you're not gonna be treated like Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm sorry. You gotta think, bro.
And Ryanair's response to this is far from ordinary.
They don't care.
Before we get to the next chapter, it's time to answer a question I get a lot. How do I make these videos?
Oh no.
Well,
oh no. No ad. I'm sorry. No ad, brother. Hey, shout out to you, but no ad. I can't watch
Michael O'Leary, Ryanair's CEO, has often made the news for some of his wild ideas about how Ryanair could cut costs even further. He said he wanted to charge passengers to use the bathroom, remove toilets completely to add more seats, introduce...
Now, imagine you're going to take a number 2, and you know what number 2 is. You're going to poop. And they're saying, nope, each squeeze is $5. Each drop I hear is an extra $2. Each toilet paper wipe, nope, see, that is going to be a little bit cheaper. Each toilet paper, $1. I would lose my brain cells. I'm going to be honest. Like, I can't imagine being charged to do something that you need to do. That's insane.
A fat tax, and even sell standing tickets. He pointed out these measures would allow Ryanair...
Imagine standing on an airplane for 14 hours.
Ryanair to offer cheaper flights, which is ultimately what consumers want. And in some cases, there may be some logic to it.
It would make perfect sense to me to charge for toilet access. One, if
How? Is he dumb? No. I thought he was smart. Never mind. He's actually dumb. I gotta say he's dumb. Brody, you gonna charge people to use the toilet? What do you mean? It's smart. It's like right for you to do it.
number of people who are bothering other passengers getting up and down going to the toilet on board a flight. And two, I think we'd have fewer passengers using the toilets, and then we'd have less people queuing around the toilets on board the aircraft.
None of these ideas have actually happened though, and Michael later said he'd often just say things they had no intention of actually doing to help generate free marketing.
And we generated huge amounts of free publicity. Why? Because we'd no money for advertising, we'd no money for PR. So you needed some kind of loudmouth Paddy to be out there saying outrageous things like charging for toilets. Yeah.
By the way, sorry, quick ad. I am streaming live on Twitch right now, so go ahead and click the link in the bio, twitch.tv, K1DRM, Kid Ram. Hi, that's me. Okay.
Taking out the seats in the standing room only. None of which we actually planned to do, but it generated acres and acres of free publicity.
Oh, never mind. He's actually smart.
Ryanair saved a fortune on marketing by simply having Michael do interviews and say outlandish things to get headlines, which always led to more people checking out Ryanair's website and buying tickets. For example, when he was questioned why passengers are charged €20 just to print their boarding passes at the airport, Michael replied, "Well, I think they should pay €60 for being so stupid."
Yo, here's what y'all don't realize. I just realized. I'm not gonna lie to you. Listen. This man is just... He invented rage bait before rage bait was invented. He is the founder. No. He rage baited so many people and got so much free publicity from rage baiting people. His business became a multi-billion-dollar business. Respect. Yo. The greatest rage baiter of our generation. Shout out to him.
And if drink sales are falling off, we get the pilots that engineer a bit of turbulence. That usually spikes drink sales.
Oh my god. Alright, never mind. He's back to being a literal... Oh, I can't even describe what he is. He's too many things to describe. I can't.
The way Michael helped Ryanair get free marketing was with creative promotions designed to get maximum attention.
We used to have one of our first best ones was we did this Valentine's Day promotion, which was 69 for 2.
However, not everyone sees the funny side. You'll find plenty of Ryanair horror stories and tens of thousands of one-star reviews. Some newspapers started having an entire column dedicated to Ryanair complaints as there were so many. Like a woman who was charged €300 for Ryanair to print out her boarding pass. But Michael has openly stated...
See, if you just paid for a regular flight, not gonna lie, the same price.
He feels customers paying cheap airfares have no right to complain when things go wrong. He said, "We don't want to hear your sob stories. What part of no refund don't you understand?" Another example was when hundreds of passengers were forced to spend the night at the airport after their flight was cancelled, and many asked if Ryanair would provide accommodation. Michael said, "Absolutely not. You booked a flight, not a hotel." One of their most
he's a rage baiter.
Controversial policies was forcing the disabled to pay up to €25 for the use of a wheelchair. One lady said,
No, this guy's a menace. I swear to God. This guy, single-handedly, is the biggest menace. The biggest menace I ever seen.
"Despite booking wheelchair assistance, I had to ask a fellow passenger to push me to the departure gate. And upon my return, I sat for an hour waiting for assistance on the plane, getting colder and colder." Almost any other company would offer goodwill gestures when things like this happen. But instead, Ryanair takes a different approach. When you go to Ryanair's social media, you'll find that instead of helping out, they're making memes from their passengers' complaints. For example, when passengers complain they paid for a seat but didn't get a window, Ryanair simply responds, "Read that again but slowly. You paid for a seat."
You know what I think? I think the actual owner of the company, the guy that rage baits everybody, it actually runs the Twitter account. That's my biggest conspiracy theory right now. He runs that account because the way he rage baits people and the responses, they low-key add up. I'm not gonna lie. It's gotta be him.
Another asked them where their window was, and Ryanair replied, "Pay for the baggage you've stored under your jumper, and then we can talk." One of their most viral posts was when a customer complained about the very narrow stairs Ryanair used, and said, "I'll bring my own stairs next time." But Ryanair responded, "Bring your own plane next time." Some people questioned,
He's funny.
should a company
He's
be
funny.
responding this way instead of apologizing?
Oh my God,
But
nah,
another said
nah.
they charge
Please
extra
keep
for
doing that.
everything except Twitter roasts. No regular airline would ever do this, but in Ryanair's case, it's actually a genius strategy.
Low-key
Ryanair
is
has
not
millions
smart.
of followers, and their troll posts regularly go viral, which directly leads to more ticket sales.
Wait, hold on.
They've
Chat, I want to see right now. Ryanair. Let's see right now.
embraced their reputation of being stingy, as it means everyone thinks of them as the low-cost airline. And as a result of all these strategies, Ryanair carries far more passengers than any other airline in Europe.
That actually is
Their
insane.
typical airfare goes for less than 30
Is it in the United States?
and they've sold flights for as little as $4.99. They might not treat you like royalty, but they're pretty
zero
honest
only.
about what they are. Love them or hate them, they've given people the option to fly all over Europe at prices that are often cheaper than train tickets.
He's
So
not wrong.
there's no doubt they've made air travel affordable for millions of people.
He's not. YouTube, thank you so much for watching. You literally got me cheering up. I'm not gonna lie, that was Yawn. Nah, I'm kidding. I'll lay out chat. Please make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. What did I just say? All right, Twitch is down below. I love y'all. Bye bye.